and Singapore has indeed woken up, and that is where our correspondent, DW's very own Bastian Hartig, is standing by with the latest developments. And Bastian, I just first want to talk a little bit about what we heard in that report there about Kim's tour of Singapore. What more can you tell us about that?
Yeah, Sarah, let me walk you through that tour that Kim did last night of the Marina Bay area here in downtown Singapore. So he started out at that structure that you can see behind me there. That's the Gardens by the Bay. That's a tropical garden in the biggest greenhouse in the world with the highest indoor waterfall in the world. So he had a look at that, and then he walked over here to the Marina Bay Sands Hotel, and he went all the way up there to that rooftop structure that looks like a giant surfboard just on top of that hotel. And from there you have a beautiful view over all of Singapore, and on a clear day you can even look as far as the outlying islands of Indonesia. And when he was up there, Kim marveled at how beautiful and how clean everything is here, and that sort of ties in with what he said to South Korean President Moon Jae-in when they met in April at the demilitarized zone, where he said that all the North Korean athletes that had gone to the Winter Olympics in South Korea, they had been so impressed with the bullet trains there. Compared to where he's from, North Korea, which is obviously an isolated country, So that's very different, and apparently he's very impressed by that. And it goes to show that he really wants to modernize his country because he likes these advances. And you have to keep in mind that even though he studied in Switzerland, he's only in his early 30s. And since 2011, since he took power, he only left the country a few times, and that was only to go to China and to go to the demilitarized zone. So when he's on these trips, he seems to be really enjoying himself and enjoying to see what's out there in the world, Sarah. And
in order to have that modernization, Bastian, he really has to get down to business today, the business of diplomacy. Trump has already been tweeting for his part, and it seems as if things are going well already, or are they? What are the expectations there?
Well, that's what Trump says, of course, but then that's Donald Trump. But yesterday there was a press conference by Mike Pompeo, Secretary of State, U.S. Secretary of State, and he was outlining the U.S. position, and he said that nothing had changed when it came to the final goal, which was complete, irreversible, and verifiable denuclearization of North Korea. Now, he also said, and that was interesting, that the U.S. would be willing to grant North Korea security guarantees for the regime that had not been in place before. Now, he didn't go into details. He didn't say what exactly he meant by those security guarantees, if that would also potentially involve the U.S. Withdrawing some of their troops from South Korea, which is obviously something that North Korea wants, but we don't know that. That's going to be one of the contentious issues in that negotiation. And also, Pompeo made it very clear that the sanctions, the economic sanctions against North Korea, won't be lifted until that denuclearization takes place. Now, that's going to be a sticky point because we talked about the modernization of North Korea. Now, that's obviously only going to be possible if these sanctions are lifted or at least eased, so more trade can be done with North Korea, which at the moment is prohibited. So, and if those sanctions aren't lifted, then there's going to be no modernization of North Korea. Then the directive that Kim gave out of modernizing the economy isn't going to happen. And if it's going to happen or not, a lot of that is going to depend on the outcome of today's summit, Sarah.
Bastian Hartig with the latest from Singapore. As we can see, it is daybreak there. The summit getting underway in just a matter of hours. A historic day. And Bastian, we thank you so much for setting it up for us.